You guys, if you don't like where you are, keep going. Um, so I was just thinking the other day, and it was kind of relevant to me, um, where like currently we are not living out our present moment, we're living out our past, right? So, and the only way to our future is through the present moment. So, what I mean by that is like what you're living out today is based on and a consequence of, for good or for bad, what you did yesterday, what you did a week ago, what you did a year ago, 3 months ago, so on and so forth. So your current moment is kind of always a bit of a delay, right? It's from the decisions you've made previously. So you're living out your past. So if you don't like where you are today, then just keep going, right? So make decisions today that, a week from now, maybe you'll be living out a little bit closer to the reality that you want to be living, or a year from now, or 3 months from now. So super relevant, because we can get so defeated by our current circumstance and how we're feeling today, or the stresses that we're dealing with today, and just the circumstances that we're living out today, and it can be discouraging at times, because we feel like, well, I've been making certain choices, I've been making certain decisions, where you feel like, when is it going to reflect in your 3D reality? And so just keep going. If you're feeling defeated, if you're feeling discouraged, just keep going, because you're living a delayed reality. You're living a delayed reality, essentially. So that was coming through. It was really relevant to me, and it kind of helps me when I'm going through difficult times, where it's like, well, I'm not living out my current moment. I'm living out my past, and in a week from now, I'll still be living out my past. So just with that being said, I hope it can be helpful. And the Ace of Swords came out. So that's the truth. That's the truth. And some of you could be finding your own truth at this time. You could be cutting through a lot of the bullshit at this time. Cutting out a lot of crap in your current reality that you don't want to live out anymore. And yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful card to come out, Ace of Swords. So let's get more on that. Then there's a star. So definitely wish fulfillment. Aquarius energy, 11th house. House of community, house of communications, house of especially online communications. How you're presenting yourself to and expressing yourself, and how that's reflected in your community, or your social circle. And so really beautiful first couple cards to come out. Yeah, temperance, sobriety. Some of you could be cutting out some addictions, toxic behaviors, patterns, behavioral patterning, things like this, ancestral patterning. But temperance, it's all about temperance. It literally means sobriety, sober thinking, sober living, abstinence from any kind of mind-altering substances, things like this. When you refer to the Bible, it means sobriety, right? And keeping a sober mind. And that's not even just through substances, but just through your thoughts and your actions. Keeping a clear head, balanced thinking, right action, right thinking. So 2 major arcana. So again, if your current reality isn't what you want it to look like, if you're not walking in the reality that you want to be walking in your 3D reality, just keep going, keep speaking your truth, keep, doing an inventory check of yourself, of your thinking, of your actions, of your behaviors, and getting real honest with yourself, because we are constantly reflected outwardly as a mirror, our own behaviors, our own thoughts, our own view of self, and the way that we are living in self. So I think it's in the Quran where it's like you'll only attract to yourself or see in yourself or be surrounded by the amount of truth that you live out. So if you're a liar, or if you're not honest with yourself, if, even in just small ways, right? Could be big ways, could be small ways, but that will be reflected back to you. You can only be surrounded by as much truth as you live within yourself. So really, that's the major thing there. And communicating as well to yourself, to your angels, to the people you're around, to the universe, exactly what you want to see. Like, this is your experience, right? When we come down to this experience, it's yours. So how do you want to experience it? How do you want to live it? You know what I mean? You chose, like, we're down here to live out our experience, whatever that looks like, whatever you want that to look like, you can live that out. But communicate that to yourself. Write it down on paper, repeat it to yourself, and ask and you shall receive. And just keep on whatever trajectory that you've chosen, right? Here's the 2 of Swords, so it's like 2 truths, 2 paths. It's like both and, both are true. So you get to decide which one that is you wanna live out, that you want to experience. But yeah. I think it's new moon in Pisces today, so it's literally the perfect time to reset your course, to plant the seed that you want to experience for this moon cycle. So the new moon, that's like where the moon disappears. So you get to kind of go within, you get to plan, you get to decide, and you get to make actions and choices that as it progresses towards the full moon will expand and become bigger. So whatever idea, whatever plan, whatever action, and whatever course you decide to take over the next 2 weeks, I think it is, until the full moon, then that's, you'll see, as if you follow like the moon cycles, if you kind of base your growth, your planning on these moon cycles, you'll see how it kind of follows that same ebb and flow. So if you plant these seeds now, perfect time, and you'll see it expand and grow as the illumination of the moon grows, till it reaches its peak at the full moon. So whatever that is, like today would be a great time to do some kind of ceremony, ritual, or just planning, planning practicality wise of what you want this next 2 weeks to look like. What seeds you want to plant today that you want to see an improvement, growth in over the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So, yeah. And then there's the Eight of Wands. It came out in the reverse. So, but I mean, that could be like this new moon. So it's kind of like this, like slow down with this new moon, right? When it disappears, it's like time stops for a second. You can kind of get your ducks in a row, do your planning. And then over the next 2 weeks, as long as you kind of stick to that plan, you'll see these manifestations come in quite quickly. Yeah, Magician and the Chariot. And it's so nice to see the Chariot upright because it's been coming out in reverse. No matter if I try to flip it, I throw it, try to flip it, it'll come out in reverse. So it is now upright. So there will be forward movement. So many major arcana here. Yeah, once you decide, it's like success depends only upon a decision. Once you decide, you just have to make the decision. So if you're not seeing progress, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like things aren't moving forward, you have to get really honest with yourself. Like, are you refusing to make a decision? Are you kind of back and forth? Because the universe, the world, your 3D reality, it doesn't really know how to respond appropriately until you really are solid on what you want and on that decision. Small, big or small, right? Because the universe is never, it's always conspiring in our favor, always. But it's just for good or for bad. Like, it's not prejudice on what we want. It'll give us what we want. Whatever path we choose, it will provide you a 3D manifestation reality of whatever you decide. It doesn't care good or bad, but it's your choice. So if you've been in indecision, look at that. Ask yourself why you're feeling indecisive. You know, and go through a list. You know, why are you feeling indecisive? What is it about it that you're feeling indecisive about? When you get clear really on what you want, even just for this next 2 weeks, make that decision, and success depends upon just making that decision, right? So that would be your biggest advice. I think today is just make a decision, and then over the next 2 weeks, just every day, you know, reconfirming that decision. And then over the next 2 weeks, like, the universe can start to provide you with a 3D reality based on what you want. But big or small, if you're feeling indecisive, then the 3D world, it just doesn't know how to respond, right? It doesn't know what to give you. So it's just interesting the way that energy works, right? So yeah, I think that that's it. I think that's the reading for right now. So I'll go ahead and post this, and then hopefully I can do another upload later. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and peace, love, light, all that good stuff. Peace.